1 week in Poland. News, comments, events, everything you need to know about the country you live in. Hello everybody, welcome to a new episode of 1 Week in Poland, the information service made in IMI Radio, which brings you through the most important news of the last 7 days. As usual, my name is Fabio Turco, I am an Italian journalist living and working in Warsaw. For the people who listen to this broadcast for the first time, I would like to spend a couple of words about how it works. The first part of the show is dedicated to the general news of the week, what's happened in Poland in the last 7 days, and I do it through an accurate selection from the main media outlets, like, for example, Notes from Poland, Polish Radio, and the Polish Press Agency. The second part of the show is more focused on the news about Warsaw, the capital city, and here I will give you some advices about how you can enjoy your weekend here. So, if you're ready, and I'm sure you are ready, I would like to start this week with some news that could be interesting, especially for our listener from Ukraine. I know there are many people from Ukraine living in Poland that listen our show, and I have some news for you, some bad, some good. We can start from the bad. The first news is a survey that I read from Polish Radio. And this is a survey about the acceptation of refugees from Ukraine in Poland. Well, the 53% of Poles are in favor of accepting refugees from the war zones from Ukraine, according to this study that it was provided by the Polsce CBOs. And this is a decrease of 41 percentage points from the first such study in March 2022. Meanwhile, 67% of respondents believe that Polish authorities should send Ukrainian men of military age back to Ukraine, while 22% oppose the idea. The survey was carried out between September 12 and 22nd on a sample of 941 respondents. The study also revealed that 51% of Poles are worried about the possibility of Russia using nuclear weapons during its ongoing invasion of Ukraine. And this was the bad news for sure. Now we slightly change to something better. Poland's state-owned development bank BGK, National Bank of Development, has provided loan guarantees for a total of 20 million euro to Ukrainian companies operating near the war zone. This was stated by the bank. Agreements to this effect were signed on Tuesday between BGK and Ukrainian banks Credo Bank and Privat Bank in the western city of Poznan. Since Monday, Poznan has been hosting the Common Future Congress for the Reconstruction of Ukraine, attended by entrepreneurs, local government officials, and government representatives from Poland and Ukraine. In mid-May, BGK applied to the European Commission for €20 million in order to continue support for Credo Bank, €10 million, and to cover another Ukrainian bank, €10 million with the guarantee program. The agreements signed on Tuesday implement the provisions on the deal with the European Commission on expanding support for Ukrainian micro, small and medium-sized enterprises. This is the use of European Union money, which guarantees that these banks can support the reconstruction of Ukraine in a good, simple way. The funds will be directed to the reconstruction of the energy sector, which is particularly important in the face of the coming winter, said Mirosław Czekaj, PGK's president of the management board. And the third news related to Ukraine is related to radio. So we don't speak about ourselves, we don't speak about IMI Radio, we speak about Polish radio, because Polish Radio's Ukraine service, which was introduced 2 years ago in March 2022, has introduced a new schedule featuring a wider range of programs available through the Polish public broadcasters' own services and as a podcast on a popular streaming platform. Polish Radio's Ukraine service serves Ukrainians both in Poland and Ukraine, covering key events and offering practical guidance. The project aims to support Ukraine by providing critical information, discussing Ukrainian integration with the European Union and NATO, and highlighting the cultural and historical ties between Poland and Ukraine. Listeners can start their day with a 7 a.m. show that rounds up major events, both recent and upcoming. Later in the day, the station offers new shows focused on business, culture, the war and military affairs, politics, international relations, and social issues. In the afternoon, a daily news wrap-up provides updates on global Polish and Ukrainian events. After 9 p.m., the station airs a mix of rock, electronic, and ethnic music, primarily from Poland and Ukraine. Natalia Brzeźko-Zapur, director of Polish Radio External Service, emphasized the station's unique offerings for Ukrainian speakers. We address issues that matter to Ukrainians living in Poland, as well as those in Ukraine who are interested in Poland, she said. Our goal is to help Poles and Ukrainians better understand each other. Among the highlights of the station's programming are shows such as In the Mirror of History with Nazar Olink, which delves into the history of Poland, Ukraine, and Europe. The cultural segment includes programs on cinema by Olga Trembach, theater by Krystyna Srybniak, and books discussed by Olena Ruda and Marcin Gaczkowski. Zhanna Czerniuk hosts True-False Information, which aims to combat disinformation in both Polish and Ukrainian media, while Mariana Kryl explores folk music. In addition, Jana Stępniewicz and Marcin Gaczkowski offer Polish language lessons using popular contemporary songs. The station also covers pressing issues such as Ukraine's bid to become a member of the European Union and NATO, with Zhanna Czerniuk and Anastasia Kupriec providing analysis. Krystyna Pikur and Larisa Zadorozhna focus on international politics, and Taras Andrukowicz and Victoria Masztaler report on the war front, offering insights into the Polish and Ukrainian militaries. Svitlana Mialik advises Ukrainian refugees living in Poland on such vital issues as obtaining necessary documents, enrolling children in kindergartens, and accessing healthcare. Polish Radio for Ukraine is available via DAB Plus digital service, the Polish Radio website, the mobile app, and tune in. So, and of course, beside Polish Radio, I encourage you to listen IMI Radio and also our show, our broadcast dedicated to Ukraine people, and not only. And now we change topic, we change news. The last week, my bad, I didn't speak to you about a pretty curious news. Curious, sad, alarming. Well, you can decide how to evaluate this news. There was this producer of fruit gelée, which decided to change the market and started to sell some to sell alcohol, actually vodka, in the fridges in the grocery shops, but in keeping them in the same sachet that it was used to sell fruit gelée. So this was quite strange, and it created a big scandal in Poland. Important politicians, including the Prime Minister Donald Tusk, were upset for this thing because it can have very, very serious consequences on, especially on the children. Not speaking about the adults, but especially to the children that can be taken in mistake and drink vodka, drink alcohol, thinking that they are drinking fruit gelée. So after this scandal about this alcohol sachet, which the package was resembling this popular fruit puree for children, a new regulation has been introduced to tighten the labeling requirements for alcoholic beverages. The aim is to prevent, of course, misleading consumers and to avoid placing high alcohol content drinks next to other products, so as not to suggest similarities in appearance or composition, as was that case. In the case of alcohol tubes, the colorful packaging could be mistakenly perceived by consumers as a food product for young children. The potential consequences, as I said, of such mistake could be extremely dangerous, which is why appropriate changes were introduced. It will now be mandatory to clearly indicate that a product contains alcohol. The Trade Quality Inspection is already handling the enforcement of these regulations. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health has proposed that alcoholic beverages in containers of 300 milliliters be sold only in glass or metal packaging. The Polish Ministry of Health has also suggested a ban on the sale of alcohol in forms other than liquid, such as mousse, gel, or crystalline form. Two female activists who poured orange paint over the mermaid of a Warsaw statue in March have been charged with damaging a monument, a spokesman for prosecution has said. Anthony Skiba, spokesperson for the district's prosecutor's office in Warsaw, explained that the two women, whose names must be withheld under Polish law, acted jointly and in concert when on March the 8th they damaged the monument and its surroundings by dousing them in orange paint. The mermaid is a symbol of the Polish capital and a listed monument. Skiba added that the activists caused material loss totaling damage for around 84,000 euro, resulting from the need to remove the tainted surface of the monument, which additionally left it exposed to the elements. The amount has been calculated based on the opinions issued by the Mazowieckie Province Conservator of Monuments and the stone masonry expert, as well as the City of Warsaw administrative unit responsible for the protection of the monument, said Skiba. The two activists have denied the charges and refused to provide explanation. They are facing 6 months to 8 years in prison. Poland's Chief Sanitary Inspectorate, GIS, has advised against picking mushrooms in areas affected by the floods that devastated parts of the country last month. It warns that fungi in those areas could have absorbed the pollutants carried by the flood waters that would be harmful if consumed. It is not recommended to collect and eat mushrooms growing in areas affected by flooding, as the flood wave carried various pollutants, for example heavy metals, that are easily absorbed for this organism, said GIS spokesman Marek Waszczewski, quoted by the Polish press agency. Mushroom picking is hugely popular in Poland around this time of year. In its latest statement, GIS also urges people not to pick unknown mushrooms and notes that if there are in any doubt, they can consult experts for free at local sanitary epidemiological stations. GIS has published a list of such stations on its website. Poland, along with other countries in the region, was hit by devastating floods, as you remember. We spoke a lot about that. The surging waters can collect various harmful substances, including bacteria, viruses, parasites, fuel residues, and heavy metals. Even after the water has subsided, pollutants remain in the soil and in some organisms. Marta Wrzosek, a mushroom expert at the University of Warsaw, has likewise advised the mushroom pickers to particularly avoid areas around cities or towns where petrol stations, flooded cars, or warehouses with chemical compounds have been damaged during the floods. These health hazardous compounds have most likely not decomposed and are absorbed by fungi, she told Science News Service Nauka w Polsce. The mycologist said that it is difficult to determine how long the risk of contamination will last, noting that in the coming months it will be necessary to check for the content of metals and other compounds in the soil before harvesting mushrooms or plants from flood-hit areas. And now we go to another survey, different from the first one we spoke at the beginning. Half of people in Poland believe that religion classes, which consist of optional Catholic catechism teaching run by the Church, should continue to take place in public schools, finds a new report on the issue by state research agency CBOS. That is the lowest figure ever recorded by the agency. Meanwhile, a majority support the current government's plan to halve the number of hours that such lessons are taught, as well as a recent decision to exclude religion grades from end-of-year averages. Those moves have been strongly opposed by the Church and right-wing opposition. CBOS asked the polls, in your opinion, should religion be taught in public schools or not? It has not included the question in its regular polling since 2008, but decided to ask about it now given recent changes introduced and announced by the government that took office last December. A total of 51% of respondents said they either definitely 26% or somewhat 25% support teaching religion in schools. Meanwhile, a total of 43% were either definitely 25% or somewhat 18% opposed. CBOS notes that support was the lowest and opposition the strongest since it first started asking about the issue in 1991. The strongest support for religion in schools was found in 2007, when it stood at 72%, with opposition at 24%. And now we go to the cultural page, a new biographical film about Jerzy Kulej, one of Poland's most distinguished boxers, hits cinemas across the country. And it hit cinemas since yesterday, it was on Friday. Directed by Ksawery Żuławski, the movie, entitled Kulej, Two Sides of the Medal, brings to life the story of the two-time Olympic gold medalist and double European champion. The move celebrates a sports icon and explores a dynamic period in Polish history, making it a potentially compelling watch for both sports enthusiasts and those interested in the cultural and political landscape of Poland in the years of 1960s. Featuring Tomasz Włosok in the title role, Kulej, Two Sides of the Medal blends elements of love, boxing, rock and roll, and the intertwining of sports with politics. Włosok, an up-and-coming actor known for roles in productions such as the alternative history Netflix series 1983, underwent extensive boxing training to authentically portray the light welterweight champion's style. A skilled kickboxer, he also practiced movement choreography and dance to accurately represent the fighting style of the time. In addition to directing, Żuławski co-wrote the screenplay with Rafał Lipski, with cinematography by the much-awarded Marian Prokop, known for numerous film and TV works. Kulej, produced by Watch Out Studio, focuses on the period between 1964 and 1968, capturing the Polish boxer's triumphs at the Tokyo and Mexico Olympics. It is not just a story of his sport achievement, it delves into the colorful era, the ups and downs of Kulej's marriage, and his personal challenges. The narrative also highlights the relationship between sport, politics, and society. Michalina Olszańska stars as Helena Kulej, Jerzy's wife. The cast includes Andrzej Hera as the legendary coach Felix Papastam and Tomasz Kot as the head of Warsaw Gwardia Sports Club. This was a cultural news, but also a sport news. But this is not the last sport news of this week. We still have one. Polish mountaineer Adam Bielecki, alongside the Canadian climber Louis Rousseau, has successfully scaled two previously unclimbed peaks in the Karakoram range. One of the peaks now carries an unusual name, Potato Peak. The climbers set out on September 17 to tackle two virgin peaks in the mountains surrounding Pakistan's Hunza Valley. After more than 3 weeks of challenging ascents, Bielecki took to Instagram to share the news of their achievements. He wrote, "On Sunday we set off with the sun from our advanced camp at around 5,000 meters above the sea level. After 5.5 hours of climbing a 60-degree icy couloir, we reached the ridge at 5,750 meters. From there, a further 40 minutes of difficult corniced ridge climbing took us to the summit, which we named Bolongan Sar, Potato Peak." Don't even ask why, it's said on the Polish radio. The next day, Bielecki and Rousseau ascended another peak with their instruments recording its height between 5,945 meters and 6,152 meters. They dubbed this one Zan Sar, or Rusty Peak, in reference to the reddish color of the surrounding rocks. For Bielecki, these climbs mark his fourth first ascent of a 5,000er and third first ascent of a 6,000er in Pakistan. In addition to this achievement, the climbers identified a potential descent route from their main objective, 2 more peaks at 6,500 meters and 6,700 meters. They plan to be the first to summit and name these peaks Attaniz Sar, or to further speak. This was the last news of the first part of 1 week in Poland. As usual, in the first part we discuss about the most important general news. Now we have a music break, but stay with us, stay with IMI Radio, because in some minutes we have the second part dedicated to Warsaw. Welcome back. Welcome to the second part of 1 Week in Poland, the information service by IMI Radio. This is the part of the show dedicated to Warsaw. You have just listened Radio Varsavia by Franco Battiato, an Italian song I have to say I love. So, this week, what we can speak about Warsaw this week? Well, we speak about the 40th edition of Warsaw International Film Festival, which opened in Warsaw yesterday, October 11, showcasing a wide array of world, European and national premiere for cinema enthusiasts. For 10 days, cinephiles will be treated to a diverse selection of world-class films screened in various cinemas across the city center. The festival's programming team faced the monumental task of selecting the finest film from over 5,000 submissions. This year's lineup features 84 full-length films and 58 shorts, with 18 international premiere, 6 European premiere, 5 Eastern European premiere, and 20 Polish premiere. Among the highlights is the world premiere of Invaders by Teodora Hanna Mihai and the European premiere of End of Summer by Denis Tanovic. The festival's program director, Gustav Kolanowski, said, "Cinema should be diverse, and that's why we don't limit ourselves to typical festival films. This year's selection includes a wide range of genres, westerns, horror, science fiction. I'm confident there's something for everyone." The festival will open, has already opened with director Xavery Żuławski, the Kulei, two sides of the medal. We already spoke about that. And the event will close with the world premiere of Invaders, a powerful film that explores globalization and cross-cultural conflicts. The Warsaw Film Festival offers more than just film screenings, with a full slate of activities planned, including networking events for industry professionals and film enthusiasts alike. "Cinema is about bringing people together," Kolanowski said. "After the lights come up, we want viewers to stay and engage. We have prepared a host of additional events, free screenings, Q&As with filmmakers, lectures, film club meetings, quizzes, and parties at festival clubs." So, if you like cinema, don't miss the chance, don't miss the occasion to go to the Warsaw International Film Festival. You can find the program in internet. You can find it easily and attend your favorite genres of movie. And now we go to the part dedicated to other advices, musical advices. I have two for you this week. The first one is a concert set today at Club Hydrozagatka in ulica Listopada 20, ulica 11 Listopada 22. It's always difficult to say it in Polish, in Polenglish. So it's November 11 is the name of the street, civic address 22. Starting at 8 p.m., there will be the concert of the post-punk duo from Minsk, Belarus, the Nuremberg. Actually, I know them, and actually I like a lot, and I warmly suggest. If you don't know them, I will give you a brief, short description. The band's work is influenced by depression in post-Soviet cities, existentialism, social problems in the modern industrial world, pressure and fatigue, but also by certain basic feelings that make us more human, the ability to love and empathize. Their music is gloomy, atmospheric, and energetic, inspired by the British post-punk, new wave, cold wave sound of the 80s, filled by melancholy, darkness, and abandonment, bathed in a shimmering reverb and bittersweet melodies. The drum beats and the powerful, bouncing, melodic bass lines create a sense of approaching despair, annihilation, and helplessness, while the tearing, yearning guitars lead and flow, chasing and dancing with the abandoned emotional vocals in the dark embrace of inevitable death. The first demo was released in August 2017. Since then until now, the band has released 2 albums, Scrivai and Paharda, 3 EPs, 3 singles, and 1 remix album. The band has played at major European festivals and showcases like Waves Vienna, Eurosonic Nordslag, and Atlas Weekend Kiev, as well as concerts and festivals in Belarus, Poland, Russia, Latvia, and Ukraine. You can buy a ticket from 65 zloty on biletomat.pl. The second concert is for tomorrow at Club Bardzo Bardzo in Nowogrodzka Street number 11, starting at 8 p.m. The concert is the concert of Whispering Songs, and this is another post-punk band which is playing a free concert in Poland. They are from Belgium, and tomorrow they will be in Warsaw, while today they are playing in Kraków at Zaszczanek. And October 20, I see they are going to play in Poznan Club Pod Minogą. The Whispering Songs is a quintet which debuted in 2016 with the EP Endless Party, and when they released their first major album Image 2 years later in Belgium, they were practically stars. This is largely due to the single Alone from it, which conquered the national radio chart, but above all to their live performances, which emanated sincere energy. Of course, their music has often been compared to The Cure, Joy Division, Interpol, or the early work of Editors, with whom they went on a European tour 4 years ago. But its authenticity cannot be denied, and you will certainly feel if you will go to listen, if you listen their latest album, The Great Calm, released in February. As part of its promotion, the team led by Fenne Kuppens will visit Poland, and this is the time, and the fans of post-punk cannot miss the chance. I wanted to remember that the concert is only for not for children, but for the people with at least 13 years old, and after under 13 years old, the presence of a full guardian is required, so it's people which control the child. Tickets are sold from on biletomat.pl, starting from 85 Polish zloty. This was the last news for this week, the last advice for you. This episode was quite longer than usual. Thank you. I hope you had the patience to stay with me, to stay with us till the end. Thank you for staying with IMI Radio. I recommend to stay with us in IMI Radio, because at 2 p.m. we have the show by Natalie Che, Shooting Backstage. I want to say you Goodbye in 7 days for a new episode of 1 Week in Poland. The last song is Valasse by Nürnberg. Bye bye!